Welcome, everyone. This is Araceli, transition wealth advisor and real estate investor in the US and Canada. Today, in my chat with Colette, I have something very interesting. Actually, she's going to educate me on this. Colette, can you introduce yourself and tell us what we're talking about today?
Of course. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm going to talk about something that we've never talked about before because I actually went to the home show and saw something that I really liked. So my name is Colette Rava. I am a residential real estate, so crazy. I don't know why I can't say broker, real estate broker. Anyway, you know who I am by now. I help everybody buy homes anywhere from GTA West. I like to do Etobicoke. I am in Mississauga, Burlington, Brampton, and everything in between. So welcome to the show. I'm so glad to be talking to you today about something that I have a little bit of a crush on, and it's not a person. It's called a modular home or a prefab home, if you've ever heard a term prefab or modular home.
Okay.
I know we were talking a little bit about.
I don't know anything about modular homes, so please tell the audience what exactly a modular home is.
Okay, and I've had a couple people now because I get so excited and I talk to everybody I know about it, and they're like, is that like a tiny home? And I'm like, no, it's not a tiny home, because we kind of hear that like, oh, somebody's made a little tiny home and they, put it on wheels and they take it somewhere, and they put it on a piece of property. That's not it at all. So what I'm talking about is a modular home, which is fascinating because, and I actually have had neighbors, not just in this house. I have my backyard neighbor doing it, but I also had in my first house, I had someone do that right beside me. So I'm very familiar with the concept and how it works. So basically, a modular home, the difference is the home, and you can't look at it and say, oh yeah, that's like a, no. It's not like a trailer, one of those trailer park. We're not talking about that.
So this is, I'm talking about a regular home.
Yes. So why it's called a modular home is because it's not built on site like traditional methods. They're built on site. You see builders come and, put the structures up and build and hammer away, and you make all this noise and, and whatever. And then the roof trusses come in and they put the roof together and there's your house. Instead, what this modular home, and there are several manufacturers too doing this. I know in Ontario I know of two. I don't know about the States if there are ones in the States.
No, I don't know.
But I know they're everywhere. So do your research, first of all, if you're interested in something like this. So I don't want to name names. I don't want to say which manufacturer I'm familiar with, but I am very familiar with one. So basically, a modular home, you have a foundation built. They do the measurements, like the geographic measurements and what will look good on the property. So let's just say you have a lake view. So the choice of home that you choose is one thing, but also the geography of how your land is. So if you have, some kind of a slope or a view that you want to highlight, this all has to be figured out before you pick the modular home. So back to what it is. You have a foundation built. They build the house to your specifications in a factory. Then maybe a week later, it takes them I think they said 8 or 9 days, the company that I'm familiar with. In the factory, they build it, they put it on a truck, they zip it over to your house, and they plop it on the foundation. It's fast.
Okay, so let's go back. So the foundation is just a regular foundation.
Correct.
Okay, so that's like any other house.
Just like any other house.
You're going to deliver the house in pieces.
Depends on how big it is, right?
Okay. So it's like a Lego house kind of thing, like you put it together?
I guess so. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't look like Lego. It looks like any other house. So it depends on if you want, it depends on the style you choose. All these companies as well have different styles. So you can have a very traditional looking house or you can have a very modern looking house. Depends on what you choose.
So what would be the advantage of me having a modular home versus a regular home?
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
Because really, when you look at the cost of which, so if you're thinking about modular home cost versus a traditional builder, it's about the same. I wouldn't say one is cheaper than the other because there's so many other factors. You still have to get permits. You still have to get the city to approve of the size and the location where you're going to put it on. If there's an old house that you have to take down, you still, doesn't matter. It's the same between a modular home or if you have a home builder building on site. So that's the same. The advantages that I think with modular homes, and the older I get and the more stuff I do, I have less patience for stuff like, what color do I want to paint the walls? What do I want to, like there are all these things that it's almost like, just build me a house and just, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to do fix and flip. Like this is really about investing too. If you're the type of person that says, you know what, I just want somebody to take care of it for me. I don't want to fix and flip something. I don't want to be a landlord. I just want
Or maybe you have a piece of land.
Exactly. But if you've ever bought from a builder, the process is very similar from a new subdivision. If you go and buy a new condo or new subdivision, it's practically the same method. You go into a sales office, you sit down and you chit chat with whoever, and what do I do and how do I do it, and 5% down, and and every modular builder is going to be a little bit different with the numbers, how long it's going to take. So even though I said it's going to take like 8 to whatever few days to build it in the
But that is like nothing. You say 8 to 9 days.
Okay, but hold on. It's not that you're going to get delivery in 10 days. You still have to do all your permits. You still have to, and it takes time for them to get that actual house to you. So transportation, who's available, when is it available, how do you get it? Can it be easily delivered to the property? Do they need a crane? Like there are all these things that will take time. So really plan out, 6 to 12 months, let's say, depending on where you are, how fast you can get your permits, but they can build it like that. So anyway, I think that's one of the interesting things about the advantages of buying a modular home. So that's one thing, that it can be built really quickly.
Now, does it come painted already? Like if they have like a wall, I'm trying to imagine how they do this. Like
okay,
the
maybe
wall that they put in and then the other one.
Okay, so maybe for the viewers, what we'll do is I'll try and set up an appointment at a showroom, and then we'll walk through the showroom too. And you can do your own research as well on the internet. We have this thing called the internet, which is, fantastic. So you can put in modular home manufacturers and see, because I can't say specifically what they give you when you buy it, but it's not complete. So if you imagine, taking a box and putting it somewhere, there's still work to be done after. You still have to hook up all your utilities. You still have to make sure your plumbing and
no, of course, that has to be there. But I'm talking about the actual construction of the property.
Right. So this is the exciting thing. So it's in a controlled environment. So you know what wood is. It's a living, moving thing. So when you're building in the winter, people say this all the time to me. They go, oh my God, the house is being built in the winter. Like, that's really bad. I go, well, not really, because the wood is seasoned and it's dry in a kiln and you really shouldn't have any problems. But the advantage of a modular home is that it's built in an environment that is covered and closed, and no rain or snow would ever touch the build. And the people that are doing the build, it's a controlled environment. So their labor, like the if you think of work ethic, and you're not working in the snow and the freezing cold and you're getting hurt and you're doing this, everything is right there. All their, they can use the right tools because they're all right there. So anything with labor involved, they take their breaks. They don't have the winter conditions or the weather conditions that they have to do, even in, other countries where it's very, very hot, let's say. So everything is, I think, is more controlled than when you're outside. Right? trees could fall on the property, you know,
Yeah,
sewers could back up and
of
flood. So
course.
there are, yeah, so there's all these things that it's very controlled when it's in a warehouse, like it's being built in a warehouse. So that I think is a huge uh, bonus to a modular home. I think you really know your construction time is going to be reduced hugely, significantly. I think there's less waste because if they keep doing this, it's like a factory.
Mhm.
They know what their costs are and they can save on waste, which in the housing industry, you know as well as I do,
Oh gosh, yeah. And you know what?
hugely.
This is the major thing that it slows everything down. Like you're
Right.
go, and then all of a sudden you're missing something, a piece of drywall. And now, like, oh, you have to
Yeah.
stop, go to the store, come back, and that was 3 hours later, right?
Right. And guess what? They can even, well, the companies that I know, they can even guarantee your price is not going to go up because of these shortages. They guarantee
Mm,
your price because they know they already have a secondary warehouse full of all the stuff they need.
yeah.
So, as far as what you're getting, so you can customize it too. Don't get me wrong. So they have brochures and they have like, this is the model number 5, let's say.
Yeah.
Model number 5 can be customized if you want to move this here, if you want to move this there. But the thing I love the most about these homes, and I think every builder should be doing this, is to maximize the brains, I want to call it the brains of a property. So we always talk about it. When you do several floors, so let's say you have a triplex, you have 3 floors, or you have even a duplex, like a house that you want to have converted into 3 rooms, 3 units. You put all the plumbing on top of each other. So
Yeah.
everything is just like an apartment building or a condo building. That's maximized. You know where all your plumbing is going to be in one wall.
Hmm.
You know where all your vents are going to be. You know where all your electric, well, maybe not all your electrical, but you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
there's a way to optimize a build based on, you know, their plumbing is right here. That will save on the costs. So things like that, when I want to call it the smart building, like these are things that modular home builders do this naturally because they know if they take it somewhere and they plop it down somewhere, you still have to take all of the plumbing. Let's just talk about plumbing. They have to hook up the plumbing to the main.
Yeah.
And if they know exactly this is where your main is, and then you build the main and the foundation, your drains, of course. Why would you have 6 drains all over the place? It doesn't make any sense. You do it all together. So that's another thing that might be not that important to you. Oh, I want the bathroom on this side or whatever. That's okay. But when you think of the costs to all
Yeah.
that, and if they can really control that, you know your costs are going to be less.
Exactly. And you can't really control that, especially if you're making a conversion. I'm telling you, I'm just finishing this conversion and it was hard because we didn't know where the plumbing was going to go. And it takes longer for the technician to come and figure it out as well. So
Exactly. So the one thing that I would really, I'm not, I mean, it's not that that there's anything wrong, but the only disadvantage that I can see about a modular home
mhm.
is when you're actually moving it. So it's very expensive to actually transport. So I think that's big money right there to
Mhm.
transport. But when you weigh out the
But
cost,
I am sure that they probably already have it embedded into the pricing because they're going to have to transfer these things all the time, right? So if they're going to sell you the house, they're not going to say, well, on top of it, we're going to charge you, $50,000 to transport it, right? Like,
of
I
course,
think it is probably already embedded in there,
right.
in the price.
Yeah, and honestly, when I look at, I really think that everybody's got to make money, right? But when you're competing against somebody who builds one home builder who builds like
Yeah.
one home every month, or let's say whatever, compared to a factory, like it only makes sense that the factory is going to be cheaper because they buy their materials in bulk.
Hmm.
They do they've done this system over and over and over. And this is the other thing about trades, and I know you can appreciate that too. Those tradespeople, they're one person, not one person, one company is doing the whole build.
Yeah.
They will give you a warranty. They will make sure that all of their workers, they're professional and they're doing the same thing. They have to give you this warranty, and you
Mhm.
have to, for sure, somebody's going to call you if there's an issue.
Yeah.
And they also have a reputation. So companies that have been, these modular home builders that have been around for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, whatever, those are the people that you, just like a home builder. How many builders do you know that they've been doing that for 50 years?
Yeah.
Not many.
That's a great advantage, and also that everything is going to be standardized, so you know that it's going to be done in the same way, and for
Exactly.
warranty purposes and for replacement purposes, for everything, it's all standardized, right? When you have
Right.
a house that is 100 years old, nothing matches anything. So
Exactly. So, and never mind. So let's just compare apples to apples. So a new build versus a modular home build, which is also a new build, but it's a company that that's all they do. They don't, oh, maybe one day I'm going to build and the next day
yeah,
I'm going to be a renovator and the next day I'm going to, see if I can dabble in fixer-uppers. So like and I, not to say builders are bad. There are very good reputable builders out there. But when you look at a modular home, if it's, for me, it's almost like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about it. And oh, if the plumber, there's a problem and he doesn't show up that day, and oh, and there's the flooring guy has run out of flooring, and okay,
yeah.
now we got to push back this, and I have to worry about the permit on that.
So I would say a lot less delays. So can you
Exactly.
summarize the advantages, just to summarize what we talked about?
So many advantages. Okay, let me see
Okay.
if I can. So one is, I think that like having it in a controlled environment. So when you're building something in a controlled environment, you don't have weather, you don't have, this guy's, he got a nail in his foot and he can't,
Yeah.
work anymore. There's somebody that can replace him. So the manufacturing, when it's controlled like that, is a huge advantage.
Mhm.
I
So
think
that's number one. So
number
controlled
one.
environment, you're going to get a standard product.
Yes, number one. Number two, you can optimize your materials and labor costs. So you're always going to have your guys show up. They are always going to have all the materials ready to go. So that leads to number three, which is decreased time in delays for things like that. Significantly less wastage because they have a factory or they have another warehouse full of materials ready to go. So if something is missing from one house, I'm sure they can go and say, okay, hey, what do we have in the warehouse? And figure that out. So less
Yeah.
waste. Yeah. And then if there's something left over from a house, somebody customizes a house. Let's say there's a door left over. That's not going to go to waste. It's actually going to go to another build. So, also, you can customize it. So that's what am I on, number 4 now? 5? Have we lost track again? There's
Yeah.
so many advantages. That's what's so
What's
exciting about
next?
it.
Just give me what the next one is.
There's only one for me, and that's the less BS factor. So, it's just easier. That's all I need. I just need
Yeah.
one thing. So anyway, yeah, but you can customize it. It's not as customizable as obviously a custom built home, but you can customize them based on your geography, your
Yeah.
land, and how much money you have. Really, you can do whatever you want, but there's only so much you can do. And manufacturer's reputation. You don't get that a lot in new builders or home builders that have only built a few. Yeah. So what does
That
that say?
is very interesting. I was educated today about prefab homes or modular homes. And thank you, Colette, for sharing this. Next time, we're going to go to the home show together so we can actually do some shooting on what it is and what the process is. But this is interesting because I think, like anything, the more that you standardize it, the easier it is to build, especially for us that are investors. That might cut some time, maybe cost down the road,
Absolutely.
especially if you do have a land that you're ready to
And
put
I
in
just
on
want to
it.
say one last thing.
Yeah.
I want to say one last thing. If you are building, let's say, a cottage or somewhere where you're not living in the same area, I think this is brilliant because then you don't have to be there every day watching those guys. Like, what are they doing? Who's building what? How is it going? Oh, this thing fell on that person or whatever it is. Like, this is very, very simple. It's 1 day delivery. They plop it in if they have to. Like, so it comes in pieces. Sorry, before we go. It comes in pieces. So depending on how large the property, the house is, you can get 700, 800, 1,200, 2,000 square feet. That's the beauty of it, that you can customize, but as big as much as you go, as big as you go, it will come in sections. And if you can imagine what would fit on a truck, a flatbed, you know, it's going to be long and narrow, times how many sections do you want? If you want 2 stories, you know that's going to be 2 pieces. So that's all I'm going to say. There's lots of options. It's really exciting. I hope you learned something too, and you really enjoyed the show. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do have any more questions, advantages or disadvantages, or if you are familiar with modular homes, please leave the comments below and let us know what else we can talk about modular homes. Okay. Thank you, Colette, for sharing this. This is amazing. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for being here on the show. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when there are more shows available. And if you would like to have more information on how to start investing in real estate, please visit my website at www.aracelihernandez.com. Thank you.